get started then. I think on the agenda tonight is, the, Bullstrom CUP and the Merch, CUP. So, anybody wanna go first?
Go ahead.
It's you.
Go ahead.
Joel might as well go first, he's, not much involved.
Okay. I think in the, agenda that Joe sent out, he said that, the objective for tonight was to review the CUP and see if it was deemed, complete, so that we can set up the site walk and the public hearing. Is that? That's right. Okay. All right. So let's go through it. And I did send a copy out to the whole planning board from the one that I have. Signed and dated. Here's the map, the explanation, proposed usage. So where are you at, Joel, on setting up all the necessary equipment for the financial services office in terms of a desk, furniture, printers, computers, phones, et cetera?
I've got stuff moved down there, but I don't have it set up. But it'll be set up for the, well, we can talk about that, the request that it be set up for the site walk.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little odd, but.
Yeah, well,
For example, if I was operating a financial business and then decided to put a CUP in to be compliant, it sounds like I would need to stop operating, and thus, like, removing that stuff would make sense. But to put the office in prior to acceptance of the CUP sounds odd, but if that's the way we want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's the goal anyways, so.
I think everybody just wanted to understand that it was a real business office,
Sure.
If I may add a little something, a conversation I had with Joel is to establish the office and make its presence there at the location, would be that he receives mail addressed to his business, to the office.
Right.
Joel's response was, some of the mail is sensitive, I'd rather not have it in a mailbox on the site, but a P.O. box. So he's established a P.O. box, but it's registered under his business as the address where his office is. Right. So there is some record of officially being established business and office.
And that P.O. box reflects the address where that office will be.
And just from my recollection, what you're really here for is as an approval for a sign.
No.
No?
I don't need an approval for the sign. What I need is a conditional use permit to set up a financial,
But the issue is the issue to sign?
No. To put the sign up.
Yeah.
So people in town complain.
Right.
There's, a law against billboards in Maine, but the law states that, a sign for a business has to be within 1,000 feet of the business.
Okay.
So the only way he can keep the sign up is if he has a business within 1,000 feet of the sign on that property.
I see where you're going.
So the CUP is to set up that business, which will allow him to keep the sign.
But it all started with the sign, the issue of the sign.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. We got the, Exhibit 12C, the check, and I got your warranty deed in here, so this isn't a CUP where we need to go over any geographic features or lights or odors or, any of the things that we need to do.
I just, yeah, the business is gonna go into an existing structure.
Correct.
Okay.
One of the things that's generally asked, for businesses like that is about parking.
Mhm.
You know, is there adequate parking? So you do have some parking there?
I think I
it
made some
mentions
notes
in
in the
here.
application about parking, the amount of customers that would be there, and I think there was a statement.
Single space necessary 90% of the time, driveway has room for additional parking, but you don't anticipate it to be necessary. Yeah, Glenn?
I'd just like to know, I know it was a sign issue with him, which I have no problem. But the last 30 years, any CUP has been, was it 20 square feet?
Right.
Okay, so does he realize he can't set precedents here?
Right.
Okay, so does he realize that he can only have 20 square feet? He can use both sides? Or is he gonna be running the sign that he has?
Right. Well, thank you for bringing that up. I don't recall if we mentioned that before. We have talked about it a lot. In the land use ordinance, there is no sign ordinance,
He's applying for a CUP.
right.
Which, like I said, the last 30 years, has always been 20.
Exactly, and every CUP that I've sat in on, when we meet, after the public hearing, we're gonna set up, a list of conditions that, go along with the CUP, and on all of the businesses that we've done this for, the used car place across from the Whistle Stop and the, storage facility and everywhere else, it always says, one sign can be printed on both sides and limited to 20 square feet, 4 by 5, or something like that. And then we say that, if you have lights on it, all lights have to be pointed inward and downward and things like that. But the 20 square feet, will be a condition, on your CUP as
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at, is that if he wants that sign,
Yeah.
he's just trying to really satisfy the state.
Mhm.
Should he just push his sign back up where the state is happy? Don't worry about the CUP? I'm not trying to tell him what to do, I'm just trying to let him know.
Well, I think,
The CUP is gonna be 20 square feet,
exactly.
both sides, so if
and-
he wants that sign.
Yeah, and whether the sign is where it is now, down by 113, or whether it's up, in front of the office on Rocky Dunn Road, the 20 square feet would still apply.
But what is it, I can't remember, because I've watched it on,
Yeah.
the state mandates so far back from the state road, right? What was that?
30 feet from center line,
How much?
30 feet from center line,
So you're not 30 feet,
I am.
you are,
From center line, he's 50.
huh?
From center line, he's 50 probably. Center line of road.
Well, But
Question,
what I'm
in
saying,
the right of
would
way,
he be better off just pushing his sign back
are you
another?
in the right of way?
No, I don't think so. Need to define right away?
There's a right of way for every road.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely outside of the right of way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have the state, sign ordinance right here. Location on public way, further than 33 feet from center line of the public way, or, further than 20 feet from the outside, edge of a paved way, if it's more than 2 lanes.
Okay,
I don't think they say anything about size, other than a sign can't be any higher than 25 feet off the ground.
right.
So I guess what I'm getting at is if you're in compliance, why are you getting your CUP? That's what I don't understand.
So the state requirement is that my office be within 1,000 feet of the sign.
Okay,
Disqualified from being a billboard, the sign would be on a.
so how far are you right now from the house?
I don't live at that property property, that's a rental property of mine.
But when, okay.
It's
so
like
when-
300 feet from the house.
So once you set up the office, it's
Yeah.
within.
And so the CUP is for the office.
So it's still gonna be 20 square feet.
Right.
So, as you mentioned, there is no signage ordinance in West Baldwin.
Right.
I'm not sure how you can put a requirement of 20 square feet.
We can put, any conditions on a CUP that the board determines is appropriate and that we vote on and approve.
Mhm. So there is precedence of a similar, exact same size sign for commercial use on the same road in the same town. I would say that I have precedence.
What's that?
Who is that thing?
TYSD's tip sign,
What is
that's
this?
what I built my sign off of.
I would disagree with that. Okay. There's a difference between a sign that just announces a business, PYSD's gravel pit, as opposed to a sign that is for marketing and advertising purposes, that talks about a business and has the owner's picture on it and things like that. Your sign is basically a billboard, whether it's the size that it is or whether it's bigger. So I think there's a real difference in purpose and aesthetics between the SD sign or any of the other signs that just announce that here is a business here in town.
So those terms that you're using to define the aesthetics of a sign would very much go in a sign ordinance, and that's where you define this is okay, this is not okay.
Yeah.
And so I don't see that.
You don't see what?
I don't see how you can put a restriction on it, especially when there's other signs, you know, I don't see how you can
We're not telling you what you can put on your sign.
You're telling me that
The
it has to
sign-
be this size.
The
yeah.
sign needs to be 4 by 5 or 20 square feet. That's what we've done for every business that I've been involved in since I've been on the board, and that's what will be in your conditions. And that's just being fair to everybody else whose conditions we've set that
So
for.
SB sign is not that old, it's been put up since I've lived in West Baldwin, which has only been 8 years. How did it get past that?
I don't think that he was applying for a CUP.
Okay. So it's because he was an existing business?
Could be,
He has a CUP for that property, does he not?
I don't know. I know my Ed had a CUP, so I'm sure that Estes has a CUP at some point in time. It's possible, since that business goes back to his father, that it could be somehow grandfathered in, or, you know, the business was established pre-CUP.
Mm.
Yeah,
My CUP is limited,
yeah.
20 square feet.
Everybody's had that. You know, I think it's important that we're cordial and professional and empathetic, and I've seen some of the emails that you've sent where you're getting a little irritated and stuff. You know, that's not the intent of the board to irritate you or treat you unfairly. It's just that, you know, for the last 5 or 6 years that I've been doing this, you know, and Glenn has been doing this, he's been doing this longer than me, and you know, the 20 square feet is a condition that we have stuck with. Now, I will, give you some of my personal views on this, but they don't stand at all because there's no, ordinance to back them up. Baldwin is a rural town. We are the selectmen, and the planning board, and as far back as 1990, when the last comprehensive plan was done, the town has worked hard to keep its rural character and not become the next Gorham or Westbrook or South Portland. And Route 113, Pequawket Trail, is it's a scenic byway. And, personally, I don't feel, and that I know a number of other people in the town don't feel that the sign that you put up is really in keeping with the nature of Baldwin and a scenic highway, having your picture on it and, advertising and marketing. It's not just a sign that says, used cars or a gravel pit or storage facility or something like that. It really is more in the line of a building, particularly because it's got two sides, and it's not necessarily for the purpose of people seeing the sign to know this is where we drive into your business. If that was the case, you would have the sign up on Rocky Dunn Road, and that would be your office and your primary place of business. But your primary place of business is in Bridgeton. And the sign is there primarily for the purpose of advertising. And you are talking to the DOT and your state reps and things like that, and finding a way to put the sign up and keep it up because I guess you feel like it's important to your business. But the people in Baldwin who brought this issue up to Wes and the selectmen brought it up because it didn't feel right looking at that. It didn't feel like it was in keeping with Baldwin. And I don't say this to be judgmental or mean or anything like that. It's just a perspective. And that perspective, if that carried any weight, you wouldn't even have the sign up at all. But there isn't an ordinance for it. But what the planning board can do and will do is put in the conditions that the sign needs to be 20 square feet. So you can take the sign that's there now, put it perpendicular to the road, have 20 square feet on each side instead of the way it is now, and put your sign on there, and that would pass the conditions. But the way it is now would not pass the conditions. That'll be something that we'll deal with at the public hearing and then the meeting we have afterwards, where we decide whether we're going to approve the CUP or not. And if we approve it with those conditions, and then you leave the sign up as it is, then things get sticky because the planning board has the right in our bylaws and that if there is a violation to a CUP, that we can, then have a meeting and discuss the violation, and if it's not cured, we can void the CUP. And if that happens, then you can apply for a new CUP for, 2 years. That's all in the land use ordinance. So this is kind of uncomfortable for me to talk about, because I'm not a real law and order guy. I mean, I actually resigned from the planning board as chair after the first meeting with the Murches, because I was so upset with the way they were treated. You know, there are people on the board who kind of treat everybody like either a perpetrator or an opponent. And I don't want to do that. But except for Dale.
Of course.
Just what, I have no problem, okay, with his sign,
Right.
not a problem.
Right.
What I have a problem is, when I got my CUP, I was limited to 20 square feet.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
Everybody in the last 30 years got a CUP has been limited to 20 square feet,
Thank you.
okay? Now, I would just soon say, hey, make it 4 by 8, make it whatever,
Right.
okay? But all I'm trying to say is, if the board allows him to have his, then they have to rewrite mine, that I can have, they need to rewrite Dale's, that he can have his.
Precedent is a slippery slope, and it is not unrealistic to say that if we don't put those conditions in play and we allow you to keep the sign as is like that, then 10 years from now, you could drive up and down 113, and anybody that has a business that they're within 1,000 feet of, you know, it'll basically be billboards all up and down Pequawken Trail. So, we're gonna do everything we can to work with you, and to approve things, and still be fair to everybody else in town that has adhered to the 20 square feet.
But the 20 square feet is not in the ordinance anywhere. It's just a condition that's added by the planning board.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Anything else, John? So where are we gonna go with this?
Keep going.
Do you feel that that's a condition that you'll be able to, live with and adhere to?
I'll have to think about that, I guess.
Okay. All right.
I met with the code enforcement officer 3 times before sticking that sign up. I based it off a sign on the same route in the same town by a business owner. Again, I feel like I did my due diligence ahead of time. If you read any of the town paperwork, town ordinances on the way that we're supposed to do things, there's nothing in there that says my sign's non-compliant. I'm discouraged that I'm finding out about it, that it's a rule that we just add in your case.
Well, it's not arbitrary. How old's your CUP, Glenn?
30-something years, maybe 32.
Right. So,
Why isn't it in the ordinance then?
because there was a sign ordinance that they, tried to get put into the, land use ordinance, and the town voted it down. But, it hasn't been a problem for any of the myriad businesses that, have accepted it and, adhered to it in the conditions set forth on their, CUP.
I feel like the difference is that they come and they ask, hey, I wanna start a business, and then you just lay out, hey, here's the things you need to do. Again, I did my due diligence ahead of time, spent the money, put the sign up, and now I'm being told, you can't.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna speak for Wes or his state of mind or his experience or anything like that. He certainly has sat in here on numerous occasions and heard the 20 square feet. But you know, I think that, it's not something new that we're making up just to make your life difficult. It's not at all. But the 20 square feet is a standard condition on every CUP that this planning board has done for the last 30 years. And while you may go about town and see some people who have slipped past the sign conditions because they
What you're talking about there would be
they weren't
precedents, right?
they weren't going for a CUP. You know, that kind of thing happens, but none of those signs are of a billboard in nature, nor are any of them that close to a scenic byway. The Estes sign sits way up on a hill with the backdrop of a gravel pit in the background. Nobody has ever come to the town saying the Estes pit sign is offensive, but people did come to the town and questioned why your sign was up there and say that they did not like it, that they found it upsetting or bothersome. I don't know what words they used, but I know that they brought it up, which is why it went to the DOT in the first place. Got anything to add, Wes?
Not at this time.
Bob, Dwight, do you have any perspective on where we're going here? I mean, you know, is the planning board just supposed to forget this 4x5, 20 square feet condition and ignore it and allow anybody who wants to put up billboard type signs all up and down Route 113? Is that what we want Baldwin to look like?
I think, in my perception and observing the planning board, it is a condition that's been applied to every conditional use permit. So it's not extraordinary, even though it's not written in the land use ordinances.
Yeah.
The same as the lights need to be shining downward.
Right.
Nothing in the ordinance that says that, but it's
What's that? No, I don't want to schedule a site walk. I don't feel comfortable scheduling a site walk because I think we are basically at an impasse. I think my read of the situation, Joel, is that you feel that there are precedents in the town that allow you to have your sign up the way it is. I think that you're digging your heels in a little bit, which is certainly your right. That it seems like you're not in favor, or leaning towards, you know, accepting the conditions that we've talked about. You basically said, we'll see. And I don't feel that we have enough consensus, between yourself and the three members of the planning board here to go ahead and set up a site walk and a public hearing. I'm no longer the chair, I'm not even the vice chair. I would be more comfortable postponing this until Joe Pierce and David Strock, the chair and the vice chair, are here, and there's a full complement of planning board folks here. Because it seems like we're headed towards, you know, an impasse with the 20 square feet condition.
I'll take it back, I'll say something.
Okay.
The sign is on State Route Highway 113. It is under the state jurisdiction. The state is requesting to fulfill the requirements to not be a billboard that an office within 1,000 feet on the same property be established. We have no sign ordinance, we have nothing to say about the sign. He is here to establish an office, that's the CUP, nothing about the sign. It's out of our jurisdiction. Actually, we shouldn't even be talking about the sign. You know, if he had lived at the location, I could have written it out as a home occupation and over and done with it. But because he doesn't live at it, we have to have a CUP. Simple as that. I will compliment and say that the planning board has practiced the 20 square foot sign limitation over the years, and there's good motivation on that. So perhaps it should continue as a dialogue further on, and perhaps not. That's why I'm speaking up now, so that you can chew on it and talk to others and decide, do we follow through involving the sign with this office, or do we keep our hands off the sign and just deal with the office, which the CUP is? Simple as that.
Okay. Thank you. So,
We're gonna table this till the next meeting.
yeah, we're gonna table this till the next meeting. Glenn? Okay, so I'll make a motion that we table this until the next meeting when the chair and the vice chair are here. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. We're gonna postpone it. And, I think we'll get through this. I don't wanna create, enmity or anything like that, but, I also have a fiduciary responsibility to do what I think and what the planning board should think is right for the town. And I don't think that allowing a precedent for the type of sign you've put up is right for the town. And, you know, in terms of jurisdiction, the planning board has jurisdiction to set conditions. And everybody else in town that has gotten a CUP has acquiesced to that. In fact, there's never been any problems with it. And
Is there a system to petition a 32 square foot sign?
yeah, you know, it's great that you bring that up, and I will pull out and send you the process for petitioning to the review board. What's it called?
Board
the Board of Appeals. You can appeal this to the Board of Appeals, but you can't appeal anything until we would, revoke or until we would, not approve the CUP. So the point at which you can appeal would be, at the next meeting, or at the, meeting after the public hearing, if and when the, planning board, and you don't come to agreement to jointly sign the CUP because you don't agree with the conditions. So at that point, you can appeal to the appeals board.
A little further on that,
Yeah, thanks, Wes.
he can appeal after a decision is made. If he's not happy with the decision, he can appeal it. There's an appeal for use of land which involves dimensions, and dimensions can't be changed, or there's an administrative appeal. This would be an administrative appeal as a wrongful decision. I have
So the vote that we just took to postpone, setting the, site walk and the public hearing, he could appeal. Is that what you're saying?
I guess based on the conversation we've had, I'd ask that you change that back, because I'd like this to move forward and get to the point of the CUP. You've told me what conditions there are. I would like to keep my sign if I can. We'll work towards that, but there's no point in putting this off just because. So I would like us to schedule that site visit and the public forum.
Right. Tell me again, what you said about the, 20 square feet, condition?
So you told me of that condition tonight, not prior to this tonight. So this is the first time hearing of it. So you didn't say, hey, there's a 20 square foot.
I did mention it to you once before.
Okay.
I did.
And
One of
then-
the first meetings where we met and we talked about this, and I said, you know, there's a condition in the CUP for 20 square feet. I did mention
Gotcha,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
When I was chair, yeah.
So I wasn't expecting this. You didn't mention that there's an appeals process. I would like to try to keep my sign, the size of my sign. I would like to try to, work with you to see if there is a solution for that. If there isn't, I'm going to have to live with the CUP, right?
No. Even if we set up the site walk and public hearing tonight, when we do the public hearing, and this is all gonna be 3-4 weeks in the future because it has to be put into the, shopper's guide and everything like that. It's gotta be 10 business days and stuff. After the public hearing, the planning board and the people in the room have a discussion, and then we decide whether to approve the CUP or not. If we approve the CUP, it will have the 20 square foot condition on it, okay? And then you'll need to abide by that, or you'll be in violation of the approved CUP, and I explained to you what happens then. If at the meeting, and at that point, you could go to the appeals board, or if we agree at the meeting after the public hearing not to approve the CUP because you don't want to agree to the conditions, and that's what we do. We go over the conditions with all the solar farms, with everybody that we do a CUP with, And the applicant and the planning board need to be in agreement on those, conditions. And if you're not in agreement on those conditions, then we wouldn't approve the CUP, and you could also appeal to the appeals board. If you, feel like that the conditions that we've talked about are something that you can live with, and that, I mean, the one portion of your sign is 20 square feet, is it not, 4 by 5?
4 foot by 8 foot.
4 by 8.
Is that?
4 by 8.
32 square feet.
That's,
Just one half of it
Right.
is 4 by 8, so it would need to be smaller.
is there any way, I know I'm going to head shot out here, is there any way that the planning board could go from here forward to a 4 by 8 sign? Allow him to have his two, one on each side, not the two signs,
Yeah.
but the one with, from here forward,
Each sign is 4 by 8.
his sign.
Yeah, so
But what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
one sign,
I understand.
he
Yeah,
could
but
put
right now, it's a total
he could put
of
his-
64 square feet.
signs that he had on
Yeah.
either side of that.
I personally, if I was voting, on the planning board, I would not, vote for that, because then all the signs up and down 113 can be 4 by 8, and then, you know, you got a lot
That's the question.
of big signs, so, you know, our decision, what we voted on, and it was unanimous, was that we were gonna table this until we can get, David Strock and, Joe Pierce, here, and Tracy Goulet, who's also a lawyer, and Matt Sanborn, get a full complement of the board, and then, there can be some discussion, and they can decide, whether we should move towards a site walk and public hearing. Now, you are welcome to, you know, contact the, appeals board. In the meantime, if, Wes says that's something you can do, I would have to look up the appeal process in here to know more about it, but, at this point in time, we're gonna hold, because, you know, I feel that it would be wrong of me to just move ahead when you basically, you know, you put your stake in the ground and you said, there's precedence, I wanna keep my sign the way it is. And, I respect that, we're being honest with each other. And that's why I don't wanna move ahead with the site walk or the public hearing. Okay. And I will, I don't wanna hold up the lurches, any further, I will, look up the information on the appeal process,
I think the appeals is just after Article 6, I think it's Article 7 through. And if it's a dimension appeal, then he has to fulfill, hardship requirements. If it's an administrative appeal, he doesn't have to, it's just an administrative appeal.
okay.
I can find the appeal process online.
here's administrative appeals. To affirm, modify, or set aside the action of the code enforcement officer or the planning board in issuing or denying building or other permits when it is alleged that there is an error in any order, requirement, decision, or determination in the enforcement of this ordinance. I don't know whether that, really, adheres to a vote, about, when we're gonna have a public hearing or a site walk. It seems like it's more decision-oriented, if we would, deny the CUP.
I think it's, when the planning board comes to a decision, vote to accept, the conditional use permit, that's over and done. Then Joe will make the decision, I like it, I'll live by it, or I don't like it, I wanna change it. That's when he goes for an appeal.
Yeah.
Which goes back to, I don't see a reason to delay. Like, we'll get to the appeals process if we need the appeals process, and don't come to an agreement before then, but delay for the sake of delay is not useful, I don't feel.
It's not a delay for the sake of delay. It's, a delay because it's very clear that the planning board and the applicant don't see eye to eye on the sign or the conditions that will accompany the CUP.
Again, that's the point of an appeals process, though, right?
You know, I don't run the appeals process or the appeals board, so, you're welcome to do whatever.
So, I guess here's my question. We come here next time, we talk again. I still think that I want to appeal this, which would mean we'd have the same, you know, difference in thought. What keeps you from just tabling over and over again?
Because, I think that, at that point, with, more members here, they'll, you know, there'll be more productive discussion, and, that, you know, I don't feel confident or appropriate in, setting a site walk, and a public hearing, when, we know that, there's a, difference of opinion on the CUP and the conditions. And frankly, one of the things that we need to do is determine, who's available for the site walk. I mean, that's one of the things that we do, is everybody gets their calendars out and says, are you available on Saturday at 10 o'clock or Sunday at 11 o'clock and things like that. And I don't wanna set a site walk on, potentially, you know, a CUP with, issues, without, having more of the members here, and, knowing what their availability is. But that's, you know, that's kind of an administrative issue, but it is a reason to postpone it. Anybody else have anything to add? Bob, you have been on the planning board and you're on the select board, or are we, should we be doing something different here?
No, you're running the board, I'm not gonna second guess you.
Well, I'm gonna remember, will somebody write that down, please? Board of Appeals is in Article 7, page 25. I have your email, Joel. It's only 2 pages, 25 and 26. You know, you can certainly look that up on the town website, but I'll pull it out and send it to you as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for sitting through that with us, folks, and Glenn, thank you for weighing in and providing your perspective and experience on this. We're gonna dig into the Murch gravel pit now, and we don't have anything on this, so we need to see your CUP. Yeah. Okay.
Save a few for other members.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got some more left here.
Just leave them in, can't you?
I don't know.
Okay. So how is everything going with the gravel pit? What's happening? And then, give us an overview, and then you can walk us through the CUP.
Okay, we believe that we have all the necessary paperwork that you've asked for. We've got the soil test done, which is in there. We've got the surveying done, which is in there. All of our deeds are in there. Letter of intent from myself and Dale, or us and Dale, are in there. Get insurance binder is in there. Yeah, we already did that, the soil sample.
Sort,
Yeah,
That's probably, I think that's all they asked for, those kind of things.
now, they give us the printout of the lay of the land, they wanna know
yep,
what,
that's in there.
Yeah,
Yep.
everything that was on that list.
The deeds are an old-time deed. They belong to Scott's grandfather. He passed it down to his son Kenneth and Kenneth's heirs, which came to Scott, his mother, and his sister. They signed off on it, so the land is up.
Now, is where they signed off on it in here?
Yes. It'll be, Rita and Carol Murch. I think it might be the last page.
Yeah. That's the one where it says it was done without a benefit of a title search.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so Tina Babbage and Casey Babbage released,
Yeah, that is a small piece, that's hooked onto the piece where we're gonna have the pit. There was a house there, it burnt. They got that piece of land, Tina and Casey, and they traded us with another piece of land. So, it's all one piece now.
that's on 107, though, it's no back to the pit, though.
No.
It's 100 and something feet,
Right.
less than 100 feet, or over 100 feet from the pit, where it is gonna be.
Yeah.
so you had a geologist out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
How close does I know you're 150 feet from Bridgeton Road, how close does the digging go to any other sides of the property?
The old pit was dug out within, I would say, 50 feet of the property line. It's already been completely dug out, which used to be Davis's pit.
Right.
It sold now, someone from New Hampshire owns it, but that pit was probably dug. But where, in the last 8 years, where the pit's been being dug is within 100, the specs of what you guys asked for, and they measured it, so we're already where they say it's supposed to be. 150 feet, I think, is what they asked for, and I measured it. I run ribbons, I've got all the ribbons up there, the boundaries and all that, what it needs to be.
So, okay, so we have the, boundary survey, right?
Yep.
Yep.
That's this.
Yep, that's the survey.
On this one here, the shaded in green, what is the green?
That's where it'll eventually be dug, that's what we're planning for,
That's where you want it,
well, yeah, I mean, they told me,
somewhere in that area.
I could take about that much of it out, and that's what I'll probably ever dig in my lifetime, but they said if I'm gonna apply for it, I'm gonna do what's legal, and
So you look at the setbacks, and that's.
that's the whole setback, yeah,
Yeah.
everything.
So anywhere in that area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we have the names and addresses of the owners of the abutting property? I guess that's on the boundary survey.
Probably, yeah.
Pike Industries, Aceto Aggregates, and, the Markoviches. That's it? Okay.
Light industries is beside?
On our backside.
How about the one right from New Hampshire, that guy, he's not quite.
No, he's on there,
Oh, is he?
yeah.
Okay.
Looks like this flag is on the house.
Now, what about the, existing elevations and the contour intervals?
That's in the soils thing.
Yep.
Okay. Do you see it?
No, I didn't see that, but maybe I'm still looking at it. It's in the sales report, you said?
Yeah, they said the height, they give the height to the water table and all that, so. It's a flat lot, so, and the water table, it gives the water table.
Oh, you had test pits done.
Yep.
Four different soil tests, yeah.
I see all of that.
And 2 of them was already where it's already been dug out.
I don't think this really does the existing elevations at not greater than a 5-foot contour intervals, as well as the location and slope of the grades proposed upon completion of the extraction operation. But at the same time, I don't know how important or critical that is. I think, I'm gonna asterisk, this, that's item 2C in the submission requirements. And I think when we do the site walk, we'll determine, whether that is something that needs to be, seen, how important it is, okay?
What's the total volume that you anticipate taking out of there?
I could give you a rough idea on take 2 acres, well, I told you how many thousand.
I'm looking at what the wording says here, no more than 2 acres to be dug before reclaimed.
Right.
Does that mean reclaim a piece and then dig another?
I'll dig 2
Right.
acres and then reclaim it, reseed it,
but then you do another 2 acres.
Right.
So that could go on for the entire green area and
Right.
eventually.
Right, I mean, I could be the rest of my life doing 2 acres, cause it's a 19-foot lift.
So you open 2, you close 2, you open
Yeah.
2. But that would be contained within that green area.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 35 acres out there.
Yeah.
35, so there's probably 20 that you can do,
Yeah.
pretty much, there's like 20 acres that could be dug out.
And how deep are you going?
On the soils test, but we was gonna keep it the original pit, Weston's been there, the original pit floor that's been there for,
How far was that?
what's that?
The depth of the.
Oh, the depth, I mean, the highest bank that they got right there now is probably maybe 10 feet.
So you go down to water and.
But I can go another 15 feet below that before you hit water table, and they done the water table in spring, so there's no water table until 15 feet, so.
That'd be the limiting factor, would be the water table.
Right, so by right, so you could go another 15 feet if you want to, but the pit's already established at that depth, so I was just gonna do that. It's probably a 8-9 foot bank, it's gonna be
And
dug
what
out.
is your side slopes to the, and that?
What's that?
What do you normally keep for side slopes?
On the,
Yeah.
so the boundary line,
Yeah.
it'd be like a 40%. I mean,
40%.
just, yeah, something like that, something, yeah,
Whatever it holds up.
yeah. Oh, no, not like that, no, nothing like that.
It's all sand pretty much.
No, it's all mostly
All
gravel.
gravel, sand, yeah.
Gravelly sand, but yeah, it's mostly gravel. Some fill,
Some fill?
some clay fill, yeah.
Probably on the top, so.
No, there's on one side of it's all fill, a lot of gravelly, clay stuff.
Okay. Proposed fencing, buffer strips, signs, and lighting. Now, I know that it says no lighting will be there. The only buffer strip mention I see is a 150-foot buffer from 107 Bridgeton Road out here. So I think that one of the things I'm gonna asterisk this too during the site walk is we're gonna wanna understand buffer strips on the other 3 sides of the dig, area.
But,
Buffer, what will the buffer be between the other
It'll be-
property lines?
I mean, you got 150 foot that you can't touch, so it's gonna be wood line, it's gonna be woods all the way around your pit, so this, I mean, that's your buffer. I mean, I have to, when I'm digging, I have to put a berm on top of your bank, so, for reality rights, but I mean, so someone can't fall off the bank or someone you're digging out, but as far as your buffer, you guys set the specs on that to the town, that you have to leave 150 foot, that you can't dig to the next property line, so.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kinda useless,
Everybody all the way around.
Sounds reasonable.
it'd be kinda useless to put a fence up, and then on one side with the brook, that's gonna be like 275 feet, cause you got a 100-foot setback on that side, before even, I mean, once you do the site work, you can understand.
Yeah,
They-
you know what would be good is when we go out there, if you, can stick a stake in where the.
I've ribboned everything, I ribboned off, I put blue ribbons for the brook, I wrote brook line back property, and then I put the, orange, I think it was, for the 150-foot max.
So it's color coded too.
Yeah,
And just some idea what Matt was talking about, the fencing, would that be just the areas you're working in, or would you fence off the entire property?
I wouldn't fence off anything, it's all wood line, I mean, it's wooded, there's,
Fencing the floor?
I mean, why would I have to fence it off if it's already got 100-foot, 50-foot buffer of woods? And then you got Wentworth, they have a barbed wire fence on that property line. I mean, we have a snowmobile trail that goes through there.
Yeah,
In the winter.
I think the main point of any discussion of fencing is only if any standing water accumulates, the
Oh, yeah,
site shall be
But that'd be just a local thing that you would do.
fenced in a manner.
The only thing I would think would be fencing, would be the gate on the entrance or something like that, maybe it'd be a reliability thing for my insurance, but sure. And you might have to put an entrance gate on pit entrance, but there's other ways in because of the snowmobile trail goes through there, so.
We're gonna put a gate up there too.
Yeah, you got to put a gate up there to shut it off, but.
Yeah, yeah, and, you know, I'm just going through the, submission requirements, but all the submission requirements are linked to performance standards, so like the first performance standard is no part of any extraction operation shall be permitted within 150 feet of any property or street line, blah, 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 which is why the, you know, to understand that. And then the fencing is really geared towards the water accumulation, and then the, grading and contour intervals and stuff, ties into number 3 on the performance standards. No slope steeper than 3 feet horizontal to 1 foot vertical, 3 to 1, shall be permitted in any extraction site unless a fence at least 6 feet is erected to limit access to such locations. I think a lot of it is safety, oriented.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why, I've worked
Dale, we don't
construction.
wanna find you at the bottom of the.
No, we don't.
I don't play a golf, I play down bottom.
And, we have your, insurance. You know, we've had to discuss, parking and loading in areas and entrances and exits a lot with the solar, farms, just because of, all the delivery of materials and the construction and backing up of traffic onto the main roads and stuff. Are there, you know, with, 107 right there, is there gonna be any backup of traffic coming to get loaded or anything like that?
No, the entrance has a field on both sides.
I mean, it's set far
You
back.
see a half mile on both sides of one
Right,
side
yeah.
of the hill.
And the road going in there is brand new, we rebuilt that.
It shows on the survey, that
7
road
years
shows
ago.
on the survey.
Yeah,
It goes into quite a ways.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
does.
200 feet before you get.
When you're driving by, you
Yeah.
never know he's back there.
There's brand new culverts in there.
Yeah, we got your working hours and everything like that. Where do we have the proposed plans and specifications for the rehabilitation and restoration of the site upon completion of the operation?
That's the
That was every 2 acres,
reclaim it.
reclaim every 2 acres.
Didn't say how you're doing it, but you're gonna reclaim it back to original condition.
Right.
So that's no more than
Yeah.
2 acres will be dug before
Yeah.
being reclaimed?
Reclaimed.
And it goes back to original condition.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and the seasonal high water table is here in
That's in the water
the,
test.
groundwater investigation. Okay. Okay, I think we'll get into the performance standards more, during the, site walk and the public hearing and the discussion, afterwards. But in terms of submission requirements, it looks like we have enough to go ahead and, set up the,
Thank you.
site walk and the public hearing. You gonna be doing any blasting?
Nope, I don't plan on any blasting. If it ever comes to that, I could reapply for that or something, but no, I don't want to get
You don't
into
see
it.
any ledge in there?
Oh, there's ledge in places. There is one spot, but I don't care about blasting.
Just go around one.
Trust me, I'll go around it and make a rock garden. But no, I can reorder, refile for ordinance. If I ever wanted to, I could always,
ask you, but
yeah, I could always, but no, I don't see myself blasting.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about signs, any sign.
I do plan on putting a pit sign in,
You're gonna put a pit sign up?
but no light and nothing.
And wanna make sure it's the exact right size, I promise you.
Smaller than the sign at your property?
Yeah, it'll probably be the size of Peter's, like what Peter's has almost, I'm just a little 3x3.
Just so that Chuck knows how to turn.
All right. For some reason, I left my phone in the car. Do you have a calendar on yours? It's right up there.
I hit the wrong button. There it is. So we're looking at,
So we're here, we could get an advertisement for the site walk and public hearing in on the, 18th of May. And then we've gotta go 10 days, 1, 2, 3,
28.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we're looking at probably the weekend of realistically, the 4th or the 5th for a site walk.
now I'm going back to Joel, we tabled that site, that note on that sidewalk. You made a good argument that we should probably have the rest of the board here to make sure.
Yeah, but we don't have any differences here with the.
No, that's true,
or
okay,
anything
so,
like that.
it seems like you're complying with everything,
Right.
but we don't know if anybody's gonna be available, that was my point.
Right.
I mean, I'd be available.
They done that one because of when Peters put that bid in and all the other people, they started putting respect on that.
Nobody saw it.
Joe told me it was just, they had to set it back and that's what they put, everyone to the same one. But they put the 150, I know, but there's four pits right in the same area. And his pit, then that out, right up, George Davis and his
Let's
pit.
put it in.
together, and then that guy's already been putting that out, right in the area there. So I mean, nothing there but rocks, I can't put nothing, they don't want me touching mine, rocks, rocks.
This one.
If I do too bad, it's a mess, and I want to clean it up, and I ain't gonna,
Right.
they won't let me.
Can you do that, or do you want more time?
I worked for Paul and Sand and Gravel, you know, where they were, it was down in Bray,
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
down in the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked down there 2 years.
25th, it'll be before the next meeting.
Blue Rock come in on the other side of them, they come right, I mean, you can right across like that, when I worked down there, there was a bank, that was probably 8 feet tall.
My cop just don't bog it out of the side. Right, they got it going booming, and there's like 4 different pits right there. Yeah, they're big old, they're down there a long ways.
Let's put it in,
Oh.
let's get it in on Wednesday, the 18th. Put the ad in for Wednesday, the 18th. And the site walk will be, at, 10 o'clock on Saturday, the 4th.
Beautiful.
Does that work for you folks?
Yes.
And, the public hearing will be, Thursday, June 9th at the planning board meeting.
You want to arrange all this, so.
You'll give us some,
Street before. Hit it like
10 o'clock on the 4th.
Okay, I just don't have a pen, all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Joel, if we address your, crew are, okay with, moving, ahead, we would get it in the shopper's guide on June 1st. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we could do a, site walk on Sunday, the 12th.
Or Saturday, the 11th, does that make?
Yeah, I
Either
guess
one.
that's
That weekend.
either the 11th or 12th, and then the, public hearing would be on the, 16th, so,
The 16th or the 23rd?
oh, the 23rd, yeah.
23rd.
23rd. So, but we'll deal with that at the next, next meeting. Thank you for putting this together.
You are welcome. I worked really, really hard on it, okay? I honestly did. That's many hours of typing.
Some dates. Wes, do you have, anything to add on the, Birch, gravel pit?
No. I have driven the area quite a few weeks ago, so I'm familiar, my mind was going on there, and no questions.
So you're good with, moving ahead to the, site walk?
Sure.
Yeah. Glenn, any thoughts?
Oh, good.
You good? Good? Okay.
That's where that house was, that I told you, yeah.
Right, Bob,
That man was out.
anything, you guys want to, add, before we, make a motion to, adjourn?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Cool.
all right.
Okay, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Seconded, all in favor?
I have an item.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wes, your update.
We had a previous issue about, things that are logs on, stored on, farm area down on 13, and the final discussion was about chipping and the noise. And so I talked to Tony Farrington, recently, and he said, the reason why the logs were shipped there, I don't remember if you were at the meeting.
No, it wasn't.
Is because when they were logging during the winter or whenever, their receiver didn't have time or space to receive it, so they had it stored somewhere. And including logs that would get shipped and put into an 18-wheeler trailer and taken to a site. So they stored the logs at this location on 113, and there's some logs to be chipped, which there might be a noise issue. So I talked to him, he says, and he said basically, he said we only got enough for 2 loads, not very much, and the fellow who runs it is getting on in age, he's not gonna start at 6 o'clock in the morning, probably 9, 10 o'clock. And so the minimal amount of shipping and the time that would happen is reasonable. And so I said, well, the planning board may make a decision to be okay, or have you in and talk about it. So that's the status right now.
Okay.
Well, noise, if they start chipping and the idea is, only 2 loads,
I did add to the conversation that the planning board probably will want to talk to you so that we have a paper trail, so if there's a complaint from the neighborhood, we have a track record to talk about.
Yeah, so I would say that, it's not like, CMP just going through and, chipping and moving on,
So would this be something that you just have a conversation at first and decide that would settle it, or open up a CUP, or do you want to just initiate a CUP?
I think the Fuller Planning Board needs to get a better understanding of the business and activities at the location and the duration of those activities. If there's gonna be log storage and chipping and trucks and things like that going in and out. And, you know, it doesn't seem like it's just as something that popped up and it's gonna go away.
Yeah, right.
It sounds like,
That'll continue year after year
it
after year.
sounds to me like they need to see you.
Okay, so,
Just a second, these are the other copies,
Yes.
something you guys wanna take them, we give them to them?
so have them in here to
I've
get
got
a feel of
everything.
it.
I've got everything else too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine. Next time we meet, or,
I think the next time we meet, we'll be fine. You know, the only thing on the agenda now is, another, discussion with Joel on his CUP.
Yep.
And,
Okay. That's about it.
Okay, that's it. So, Joel, you know, if, David and Joe, and Tracy and all come in here and say that, I was wrong, we should have gone ahead and scheduled it, then, you certainly have my apologies. I'm trying to do what I think is right for the planning board and for the town. So, I look forward to continuing, our discussion. Thank you for your patience. I know it's frustrating for you.
I think we adjourned.
Motion to adjourn?
You're ready to adjourn.
Okay, thank you. And Glenn, thank you so much for being here tonight. You were a lifesaver. I hope you show up more often, and, best wishes for your wife too. I hope that goes as well as possible.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you hold on to those for everybody? Okay, yeah, you need this because, yeah, and I will send you the file.
Actually, can we meet here?
I'll send you the Word document so you have it because, you know, after you approve it, you need to put it into a PDF file and then send it to, Robin, just like you saw that email that I sent out tonight.
Robin and I have had discussions on that. One question for you was the sidewalk on the fourth. I don't remember, was that Saturday or Sunday? Was that 9 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Put that in tomorrow,
And the public hearing will be down on,
I'll put that in
6/9. Okay.
I'll put that in tomorrow.
You too. Try to get out of here, Chairman, of those brick stuff. No, you do it.
All that stuff's done by GPS.
Oh, the issue with the horses was, the first time they came in, David was a fucking monster. You know, he basically said, yeah, we're on, but he told him, you know, it's gonna take you 6 months, cost you a lot of money. He was very discouraging.
And we've been understood his dad since he was because he was supposed to just level out, turn that into feed and reclaim.
I don't think it wasn't anything I said,
I
but
can't remember just how much he was supposed to do and then reclaim it.
Yeah, and, on repair, people are just gonna shut up. They're right.
okay, so I know I understand.
And I felt a real lack of respect from him and that.
This is a tricky slope we are on.
You like to lead a team of people, and people
down in small across from mine, that green building that's up there. Well, they put a lighted sign out the end of the road there, one of those metal signs that was all like nice stuff, so it increases visibility. People, when they can't stand, they'll turn it this way,
On board, a sign on each side.
He's on ahead, but he wants the sign up, and it's inappropriate.